Right now, I'm sitting in a bathroom. But what if it was a weird bathroom? What if it was the Bathrooms? In my very first semester of grad school, I made my first ever Unity game titled The Bathrooms. It was a silly walking sim about going around different weird bathrooms that I had seen in real life, and then walking around in weirder bathrooms, trying to reach a fortune-telling cat that had stolen the moon. It was okay. It was sort of very obviously made by someone with very little experience in a very short amount of time that also really desperately wanted to shoehorn in a narrative. But now, I'm stronger. I have a master's degree, I made my thesis project in Unity, and most importantly, the Backrooms are hotter than ever right now. It's my time to shine.
Fair change.
I'm gonna remake the Bathrooms. As we all know, every good remake begins with a careful study of the original in the style of a Let's Play gamer YouTube gamer Let's Play video. I think one of the biggest problems in this first area is that there's a really obvious critical path, right? Which is to just like go through all of these doors, you know? But I think I want the players to kind of meander and look at the ridiculous toilets. There's also this like strange narrative of a fortune-telling cat, which it was kind of like when I was assigned this project, I was thinking about this bathroom that I saw at a bar, and I was thinking about fortune-telling for some reason. It would be nice if it was like a little bit more cohesive, you know? Yeah, I think this needs to be reworked a little bit. The illusion of choice. So there are sort of three different areas in the game. Can definitely fix this water. I also think the textures are sort of like not doing it for me. Shouldn't bathroom tile be like glossier? Here's that fortune-telling cat that stole the moon. Why is there a cat? Why did it steal the moon? Like, I'm in a infinite bathroom. This area is great, and this makes me want to leave the moon in. Like, there's a lot of fun lighting with the moon, but like, there can be a moon without there being a cat on it. You know? That's what I think. I do think the dialogue is like good, but maybe it doesn't have to be about a cat. Sorry, I walked into a wall. Do not open them. Yeah, you can't. But maybe you should be able to. And then this is the exit. It is like once I see the door, I know that I go through there to progress. And like, yeah, if a player wants to, they can just like speed run through. And like, who are we to stop them from doing that? But also I think we want to imply our intentions through our design. And here the implied intention is sort of find the door and get out of here. And I don't think that is our intention. I think that this is a nice moment, like this kind of reveal of this thing. It should be a toilet though, right? And then there's no collision on the tree, so you can just walk straight down. But if there was, you would turn around and go like, oh, let me go this way. Yeah, there's this like fun idea of like slowly, as everyone approaches the fortune-telling cat, they kind of like unravel. I think probably there should be less trees here so that you can see the weenie. It's called a weenie. So you can see the weenie up there. You guys ready? We're about to freaking go in here and talk to the cat. Check it out. As you can tell, the task laid before us is daunting. And we don't have much time, because the Backrooms movie came out 2 days ago. But before we panic, let's break it down. And now let's talk about our main tasks. So mainly in that first area, I want to fix that critical path issue. We also should fix the theming and like narrative of the game to be a little bit more cohesive. I definitely want to give it just like the polish that it never got. And also, I just want to give it a little bit more. So we want to shift the player's focus towards the absurdity of the bathrooms and away from just like walking to the exit. So we want the player to actually explore these areas and engage with the space that they're in. And I think there's a pretty obvious way that a lot of us engage with bathrooms. I've entered the bathroom. I've locked the door behind me for privacy. The logical next step is to use the toilet. Oh my god! So toilet flushing is the mechanic that I decided to use to replace just straight up doors. So basically when you flush the right toilet, it will like transform the terrain to open up the next path. There's still a pretty clear critical path, especially in a room like this. I think it's okay for the first couple of rooms where the player is still figuring out what's going on, and it still like shifts the focus of the player onto the toilets anyways. And in a room like this where there's like a bunch of doors to open and a bunch of toilets that don't do anything, I think it works like exactly how we want. So I do fear that this is like gonna get old pretty quick. Like this first area is like pretty short and like goes by really quick. Like it's quite dense. So I think like this idea of just flushing every toilet that you see, because there's no puzzles like to see which toilet is the right toilet. It is just about like exploring and clicking on what you can click on. I think that's like gonna get old if it's not old already by the time the player reaches like this last room. As I sat and thought about that, my fear grew more and more. There's not much variety that you can have with finding the right toilet to flush. We could do riddles, but then I have to write riddles, and also the player could like brute force through that by just flushing every toilet. So I think riddles are off the table. We could do those weird like toggle puzzles that they had in like Resident Evil 9, Remaking, but I don't really like those. But I think most importantly is just I don't want this to be a puzzle game. I reached deep into the recesses of my memories of using the bathroom for a solution. Inside of hundreds of restaurants and bars, multiple apartments, schools, childhood homes. And then I remembered something so important that I don't know how I ever forgot it. There was something that I had to do almost every time I used the bathroom when I was a preteen. I don't know why this was my preteen bathroom experience. I don't think it's a universal experience. I think the plunger is really fun. With the toilet flushing, I think it gets old because there's only really two outcomes, right? Like either something happens and you can progress, or nothing happens and you have to listen to the same sound clip again. But when you plunge a toilet, something fun happens every time. Not necessarily progress, but it's still fun to plunge a toilet and see a peanut come out, right? But there is the problem of setting this up for the player. Quite an ominous opening scene. Wow. A beautiful scene is laid before us. The giant ass in the sky is shining its bright blue spotlight down through the dim, damp bathhouse. This toilet before us is obviously the one we need to flush to progress the game. No! Fart! I thought with this like being a more open area, I thought it's better to have the terrain pretty much stay the same, but just do like I mean, basically like a fetch quest, right? But it's a fun fetch quest because you're exploring this silly, fun space. When I first made this game, all my classmates said that this character was me. And that sucks. This guy sucks. It appears I've caused some sort of spill. Ougwa! I'll be standing here for the time being, lest my feet get poopy and wet. He's also straight up from a different game that I made. I wanted to add some more characters to fill out the space, but also I didn't want to spend time drawing and designing new characters. As you can tell, my characters are really intricately designed. Wait, I can do it better. Oh yeah, here we go. This guy I did draw specifically for this version of the game because I thought it would be really funny. Sorry kid, can't let you pass. I lost my pacifier somewhere, so my guys are doing a thorough sweep of the area. Yep, if I don't get my baba back, I'm gonna cry. Fart! This is too much for me. I haven't even cleaned a single thing. Maybe I should just go back to being the evil Dark Knight. Gwarg. No, I swore I'd never do that. Not after what happened in my evil dark clack. No, whatever. I don't have to read this stuff out loud. You guys go play the game. Wahoo! While testing the second area of the game, I made a disturbing realization. I was short as hell. I was like, oh, the camera actually looks pretty high, right? That's a pretty good height. Maybe I like shouldn't bring it higher. Cause then it's like, oh, it's gonna be like above the freaking door frame. Watch it, this is crazy. This is crazy, watch. The epic conclusion of the Backrooms. And what has everyone been waiting for this entire time? What has every player wished for that we can now grant them in their final hour? Boing. Boing. And what else? I peed in some of these toilets and they sprouted into mushrooms. I was so conflicted about this. I think I was just being a little pretentious, but it's also just like so fun and expressive to be able to pee wherever you want. Being able to pee anywhere lets players like experiment and improvise and to tell their own story with their pee. I didn't want to make too many changes to this part of the game or add a bunch of mechanics that would make it take longer to make. But it didn't feel great to go from like really fun toilet plunging to really short section that ends the game kind of abruptly. So I was thinking, this is an exploration game. Think of all of your favorite explorers from video games. Lara Croft. That guy. What do they all have in common? They jump. And we've got a very big tower. We're going platformer mode. So there's a 0% chance that this is a good and fun platformer game. Huh? Because it's not. There's no like shadow from the character. There's no hang time in the air after you like step off the edge of a platform. None of the like character controller stuff that makes a platformer feel good to play. So the solution to that is to just make the platforming really easy. And then hopefully no one notices that it's not actually fun to control. I also think it's not that bad if you fail, because it's not actually like that far to climb. Oh yeah. Boing. And with that, we've made it, guys. Are there any sort of last words of endearment that you'd like to share before we go? Wow, that's beautiful. I'll tell you something that I've been keeping a secret this whole time. I added a cool bar section to the beginning of the game where a few characters talk about people going missing and you walk into that first bathroom. I thought it would be cool to kind of ground the game and its narrative in some sort of reality. And it is pretty cool. Well, with that off my chest and your passionate words, thank you again for that. Let's go get our fortune.